RetroforceGO!
And welcome back. Episode
27.
This is going to be maybe the most popular one so far, judging by the amount of posts on the comment page that we got at www.destructoid.com. That's where we live. We posted the Super Nintendo show, and I sleep really late, and I got up and I turned on the internet because, you know, there's a switch on my computer that I turned on. Internet, go! And
go internet, go!
And I looked at the post. First of all, Topher, that's an amazing picture.
Thank you, sir.
And then,
like
always.
At that time, it was the first time I'd seen it. And it was 63 comments, and I was like, "Oh shit!" It was like,
and now it's like 80.
Yeah, so it's 80
Something.
comments. So I guess you guys like the Super Nintendo as much as we do.
Yes.
But I'm not terribly sure we can get to each and every one of the 80 comments.
But we will try.
But first of all, thanks for all those fucking awesome comments. We will, kick some out later. But in an effort to cover as much as we could possibly cover that you guys wanted us to cover, Chad Concelmo has come up with one of his infamous lists. And he's listed, his top however many favorite Super Nintendo games, and he's going to read them off as fast as he humanly can. And Chad's better than most humans, so that's pretty fast.
And just keep in mind that they are also in alphabetical order, just to make me sound even more nerdy. It's actually not a number. It's not a list of really any number. I found a list of every single Super Nintendo game ever made, and I went through and I just picked out every single one that I enjoyed. So, you ready?
Ready.
Wait, I gotta stretch. I feel like Flo Joe before a big race.
You feel like a 7-foot-tall black woman?
I always feel like a 7-foot-tall black woman.
Just
That's what I
checking.
thought.
Okay. Deep breath. This is the Chad Concelmo list
Chad,
his favorite SNES game of all time.
Go! Sorry.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
That was a false start. That was a false start. Start all over.
All right. Chad, go!
ActRaiser 2, Aladdin, Axelay, Blackthorn, Chrono Trigger, Clay Fighter, Contra 3, The
so
Alien Wars,
awesome.
Cool Spot, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey
Oh, my
Kong
God.
Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, Evo, Search for Eden, Earthbound, Earthworm Jim 2, Equinox,
Fuck yeah,
Baseball 2000,
Earthworm Jim.
Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3,
Final
Final
Fantasy.
Fight 2, Final Fight 3, Flashback, The Quest for Identity, F-Zero,
Oh, that one
Gradius
was a
3,
good
The
one.
Legion of Gaia, Indiana
F-Zero.
Jones' Greatest Adventures, Joe and Mac, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, The Legend of the Mystical
Chad.
Ninja, Legend of Zelda,
Yes.
Link to the Past,
Chad.
Lemmy,
Yes.
Less to the Unlikely, The Lion King, The Lost Vikings 2, The Magical Quest starring
He
Mickey
loves
Mouse,
that
Mario Paint, Mega Man 7, Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, Mega Man
Yes.
X3,
Mario
Mickey
Paint.
Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse, NBA Jam, On the Ball, Out
More,
of This World,
more,
Pilot Wings,
more.
Pokken Rocky 2, Rock'n'Roll Racing, Secret of Evermore, Secret of Mana, Shadowrun, SimCity, The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare, Soul Blazer, Star Fox, Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior, Stunt Race FX, Super Adventure Island, Super Bomberman 2, Super Bomberman 3, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi,
Oh, I
Super
just bought
Blizzard,
those the other
Super
day,
Mario
too.
All-Star, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, Legend of Seven
Hot.
Stars, Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, Tecmo Super Bowl, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, Tetris
Yes.
Attack, Toy Story, Twin Squadron, Uniracers, Vegas Stakes, and Zombies 8.
Me and Dyson just played that.
Yeah.
Goal! Somebody
Chad,
get that man a cigarette.
Chad, you're magnificent. Can you get me a cigarette? Because I just lost it a couple of times.
Wow.
Chad just tossed his gaming load.
I think we all joined him on that.
Oh, well, oh yeah, awesome, Chad. I hope that covers just about everything. Turtles in Time. Yeah, dude, that was like one of the
Dude,
comment
fucking
favorites.
awesome that you brought that up.
Yeah, so fucking, was it? Topher and I were trying to play that. No, that was not Turtles in Time, it was the one before that, the arcade
It was
game
the
on Live.
arcade Konami.
Konami. But yeah, so Chad obviously likes some Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I have to say it's the best console. I'm not even exaggerating. It's easily the best console ever created in my mind.
Well, I think so too. There's a lot of comments like people were like, "Oh, I was a Sega kid," blah blah blah, and At first I was like, well, they're all good. What's the thing? And then I remembered I was like, back during the 16-bit, I'll call them wars because that's what they were. Like it was.
Yeah, they were.
It
was totally
fucking,
was.
There was a line drawn in the sand, and you did not cross it.
You know what? Some of you kids in the comments were like totally trying to resurrect that whole. Like there are all these Genesis posts and like pictures of Genesis games.
It's
Like,
Yeah, awesome. I was like,
it seemed to me like there was like Genesis versus Super Nintendo kids, which, I mean, I had both, but I think maybe there were more schools than I thought there were.
Yeah, there was there. I forgot how vicious that war. It was a war.
Yeah.
I was petty officer first class on the 8-bit brigade. Whatever the fuck that means.
That's awesome. I'm totally getting them like dog tags with that on it.
Yeah, like I
Right
survived the console war of '91.
Okay, that's
That's
awesome.
a great idea.
Hell yeah! Oh, that'd be great for a shirt. RetroforceGO. We survived the console wars.
Yeah, we need to get that happening.
Artists to that. In the meantime, though, but yeah, there's the comments were popping up, and they were like, Sega, 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 and it's like, hey, we like Sega too, but I forgot that it was just amazing. And the Super Nintendo came out after the Genesis, and the Genesis was supposedly the cool thing. Remember that, like, Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You're like,
All the-
So cheesy.
so fucking cheesy. But and for those of you who don't remember, the Super Nintendo had a hard time getting off the blocks because Genesis did have a lead. It did come out first, but in the long run, it was the Super Nintendo that was the winner.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah! And it is by far my favorite. Like I don't even know why. I'm like I really love my Super Nintendo. Like it's so awesome.
Well, what was like the first time you guys ever remember the Super Nintendo? Because if you don't mind, I'll tell like the quick story of when I first remembered it. Maybe the
Not
Super
at all,
Please.
Chad. Please.
Like,
Please.
I'm assuming you guys subscribed to Nintendo Power, and if you didn't subscribe to it, at least you like read it. When you were-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And
Of
of course, I would get so excited every month when the issue would come in. I would like jump up and down and like click my heels a couple times. But there was one issue where they had like the first images from the Super Nintendo, and I remember thinking, wow, this is like the future. So, but they had like one of those fold-out pages that would fold out to like 4 pages long. You know what I mean? That fold up in the middle of the magazine, and all it was like a giant like multiple screenshots of like all different games that were going to be coming out for the Super Nintendo once it came out. There was like 50 or 75 pictures, one screenshot for each game. And I remember seeing it for the first time and just thinking like, oh my god, like 16-bit graphics are like the most amazing looking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But for real though, I mean, it was like the colors were beautiful, like everything was so like shaded, so nice, and it looked so like amazing. And
Yeah, to us it looked like, well, I mean, it was like the best thing we'd ever seen.
I remember seeing screenshots from Super Mario World and just the way that the
me
Koopas
too.
looked and everything. I was like, oh my god, 16-bit is amazing.
It was back.
Yeah.
EGM had their little like. We just took a picture of this. It just came out in Japan, and they had like these teeny ass little pictures of Super Mario World, and I was like, I would just stare at it forever. Like this is so awesome.
I know.
And still one of the best fucking games ever made.
It's kind of sad because it seems like nowadays, like I remember when the Xbox 360 came out, I was really excited because every time a new console comes out, like a new generation of graphics, like you get so excited to see like what the new games are going to look like for the next 5 years. And I remember when the 360 came out, I got just as excited. But I remember when I saw the images of like Perfect Dark and Cameo and all these games. I mean, they looked neat and they were shiny and pretty, but they didn't look at all like a huge upgrade from the Xbox, and the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a bummer. It was a little bit of a letdown. And I remember back in the day, like from the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, it seemed like a huge leap, and especially to the Nintendo
Definitely.
64. And I kind of miss that. I feel like it's not going to happen anymore. I feel like the next set of consoles is going to be like barely an upgrade.
No, I feel like it as well.
Yeah, Chad, I totally agree with what you were saying about that. And I felt that actually Nintendo may have mentioned that when they were releasing the Wii. They said that, hey, we didn't crank out the graphics because the graphics from like, PS2 era jumping up to PS3, like that leap wasn't big enough to warrant all the effort and cost. And I think that's one of the. I may be wrong. I remember them saying something along those lines. And like, well, yeah, it's like it's not that great, so don't spend $700. But I remember the same thing with Super Mario World, and it was like it could not get any better. And honestly, the division between like 8-bit and the 16-bit is absolutely unbelievable. Like, just go back and play like even beginning like 16-bit games, and you're like, wow, this is so much better than what was that one you're buying earlier, Colette? Clash at Demon Head?
Yeah, dude, I don't know what it is about that game because it's not like a fine game or anything. But there's something about it. I think it's probably the retro goggles that just I put it on and I'm like.
No, it's totally not though. I fucking love that game.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's hard because think about the wide jump of difference that we're looking at now between games from the Super Nintendo era and, like the PS3 era. Like, we're talking about crazy difference, and yet it seems to me like I keep returning to SNES games more frequently.
Well, that's what I was saying about the difference that you mentioned was one, like, look at Clash of Demon Head, and that's one a lot of people like. And then look at, like, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or, Mario RPG. Like, it's not just an incremental leap, it's like a gigantic one. And you're like, holy shit.
Well, not even that. I mean, like, the Super Nintendo did all those cool things where they actually started adding like cool effects to all the graphics too. They didn't just have the graphics.
7.
Yeah.
Mode 7.
Yeah, like Mode 7 and like the scaling and like Super FX chip and like we're probably gonna get to all that stuff later, but it just kept getting better and better. They kept adding like such cool new things. Like it seemed like every year there would be like a new chip or something added to the Super Nintendo games that would make the game just look even better.
What's your favorite chip?
I would say Mode 7. But
Mode 7 wasn't actually a chip; it was part of.
No,
the
not really a
system.
chip. I guess. I guess when you say chip, I think I'm just taking you to mean like the best upgrade of graphics.
Oh, okay.
Chip-wise, I don't really know. I don't really know any other chip besides the Super FX chip. So I guess that one had to be my favorite because it's the only one I know. But graphical upgrades-wise, I would say Mode 7. But I think I mentioned this last week. The Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island graphics, like the rotation effects, how they can rotate the sprites, that's probably my favorite.
Okay. I don't know. You know what I like best about the Super Nintendo? Everything.
What?
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. I take it back. I say everything too.
Yeah, like that system has so many wonderful, amazing memories for me, and that's like right when Japanese RPGs were like my lifeblood, and most of them came out for the Super Nintendo. You had your Final Fantasies, and yes, we'll mention Chrono Trigger and Earthbound, listeners.
Don't worry, they were as formative to us as they were to all of you.
Oh, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, you don't have to quote stab a bitch, choke a bitch.
No. The best is Cataract says, by the way, if you don't mention Earthbound tonight, I'm going to crash the plane all of you will be flying in. The plane to Paraguay. That right there is a comment of win. That is the comment of win this week. Last week's episode was great.
Yeah, Earthbound's amazing.
Well, no, every time I think of the Super Nintendo, I like it's someone says like, what's the best game on the system and what's your favorite, blah blah blah. I always think of RPGs when I think of the Super Nintendo because I spent so much time playing like Lufia 1 and 2, Final Fantasy 3, and I'm gonna call it 3. Fuckers. It says 3 on the cartridge that I own. So, none of this 6 bullshit. Secret of Mana, and of course Chrono fucking Trigger.
Damn right.
So good.
Damn right. A lot of the mentioners. Did you mention Illusion of Gaia, Chad?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great game.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that too. I don't think I've ever played that game.
It's awesome.
Did anybody mention Secret of
Go
Evermore?
back to Gaia.
That's one of my favorite games.
I meant it. That was on my list. Secret of Evermore.
Which one, Colette?
Somehow I miss it. Secret of Evermore. It basically worked very similarly played, I should say, very similarly to the way Secret of Mana played, like the systems that you use and everything with your items, a little circular, and all that. It's very like. Very similar, but it's a really interesting game. I really liked it, and I replay it periodically.
Well, remember that one? Our listeners probably don't remember this, but I was like kind of late to the show one time, and I was like texting Chad and Colette and Topher. I'm like, I'm gonna be late. I'm on a mission. I actually was running across San Francisco, hopping from bus to bus to pick up a copy of Secret of Evermore that someone was selling for $10.
Wow!
And I like ran it like all the way in like Nob Hill. I gave him the $10 at his door. He gave me the game. I was like, thanks. And I got ran back on the bus back over here. I'm like, I've got it.
I've got it. I've got the
I know. This is what I do with my time. It's fucking Brad.
It seems like looking back, some of those more random games like Illusion of Gaia or Secret of Evermore, those are the ones that like trigger those like warm fuzzy memories. Like the minute I kind of forget about them, but then the minute I see a picture from it or I hear the name, I get that like the goosebumps, like the retro goosebumps, where you get so excited about like the time in your life when you played that game.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's retro goggles. I honestly believe that that
No,
is
no.
because we were playing
Those
some
games
of the
are great.
finest games ever made.
Well,
It's true. It's
yeah.
totally true.
I was going to mention, just when you guys were talking about just the graphics on the Super Nintendo, I was like, I think that honestly the Super Nintendo graphics will always be. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but Nintendo 64 I think will be dated. It already is dated a little bit. You know, you used to look at Mario 64.
They're timeless.
Yeah, timeless.
16-bit's timeless.
Yeah, and 8-bit's
Like that will
already.
always look good.
Yeah, because think about the DS. Like the DS right now is one of the most popular systems in the world, and almost all the graphics in the DS are Super Nintendo-esque. Like they look exactly like games from the Super Nintendo, just a little more like Nash, I guess. So it's like it's kind of like I don't think I think that for some reason this particular graphics, 16-bit, will always be timeless, like forever. And I think that's kind of cool.
I think maybe that might be like the height of pixel art. Like that's as good as it's going to get with.
Yeah, I think you're right. I
know
think
what
it
I
will
mean?
always be like that. I don't think it will ever change, which I think is awesome. So I think that's one of the reasons we love the Super Nintendo as much as we do.
I know.
And there's so many games on the Super Nintendo are just solid classics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just can't be touched. Like Earthworm Jim 2, and there's so many of them. Street Fighter 2.
Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like,
God!
They're just when you think
I
of
love
like
that game.
think of the greatest games ever, like your favorite video games ever. So many of them are on the Super Nintendo.
And every genre too. That's what's cool. It's like you know, you have Xbox 360. There's some classic games like BioShock and stuff, but they're more particular genres. But every single genre has like the best of the best in the Super Nintendo. You take like action adventure, you have Zelda. You take like RPG, you have Final Fantasy 3. You take puzzle games, you have Tetris Attack. You know, it's like it's so awesome that every genre is completely covered.
Yeah,
Shooters, you have
totally
motherfucking
agree.
R-Type 3.
Or even Gradius 3. Gradius 3 was awesome too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember you put in the I think it was you put in the Konami code and your ship would explode. And then if you know up down down left right, if you put in the same Konami code but instead of like left right on the D-pad you hit LR on the shoulder buttons, then it would work. But it was hilarious. Like everyone expects it to work, and it was like, you know, Konami's like, fooled you, and then just boom, and you die, and you're like, what? But then they left it in anyway. It was great. Well, that's funny. Well, oh God, Link to the Past. Remember last week I was talking about being thankful for memory cards. Zelda is that reason, because I had to beat that game before it was due back at the video game store. Like I was getting to the point I'm stuck at the last, like the Golden Mountain or whatever the end of it is, the gigantic pyramid, and I can't find the silver arrow. So I drove to Toys R Us and fucking ripped open the fucking Zelda handbook guide. Like, and at this time I was like, I don't do guides. Like, I will figure out everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
I like ripped it out of the plastic. I turned it to the end. I just looked in Silver Arrow and was like, okay, that's where it is. Closed it, left Toys R Us, went back home and beat the game.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, there was so many classic games like that.
Here's a really awesome question also, though. But I think it's Usling. He goes, comparing the length of games of the SNES generation, and I'm never going to call it a SNES, folks. It is an SNES.
No, it's not
Oh,
SNES.
please, let's take a moment here. Please don't fucking call it SNES. That
People
drives
call
me
it
crazy
SNES?
when
I've never
people
even
say
heard that.
I've never heard that ever.
I hear it all the time.
I hate that. That's horrible.
Yeah, we have sometimes the younger generation will say SNES or NES, and
That's
it
horrid.
makes me want to say, "Fuck you, shut up." It drives me crazy.
But he doesn't say it. It just makes him want to say it. But no, yeah, just right here, please, just call it the SNES. Like, whatever, I decree. Anyway.
I decree.
Comparing the length of games of the SNES generation and the games of today, what do you think about the size difference? Should we get more out of games today? Or did games of the past perhaps offer more replayability that is lost today? How has the capacity of difference okay, what he's saying is, how has the capacity differences between cartridges and DVDs affected the game? Well,
that's a great question, man. That's a really
I'll tell you how. Their games are full of fucking filler now.
Yeah, they are.
They're
totally
like,
full
okay,
of
we
filler.
got so many gigabytes to fill. Let's have side quests and like pointless fucking busy work, so that we can say we have a 50-hour game.
yeah, I'm gonna answer it in like kind of like an RPG kind of point of view. This is my opinion. You guys chime in, but I don't think games like one can be directly compared, like the Super Nintendo games, to like a 360 or PS3 game, because what gamers usually kind of expect from games today is different. They used to expect more like a uniquely crafted experience, and these days people expect like replayability and hours involved in a game.
Totally different things.
The way I look at it is like the reason I don't really care for any RPGs today is because it's about 25 hours story and 25 hours of like go fucking do stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like to beat the game, as opposed to like Final Fantasy 3, which was like here's 50 hours of game. So I don't think games have gotten really shorter, longer, anything like that. Like 16-bit games, and even true of like 8-bit games, those games took longer to beat because they were harder. But you could beat those games really swiftly once you figured it out, and that's why it took so long, and that's why it felt like more of experience. And the games today, it's like, I mean, like, when was the last time you actually died in a game? Like, you're like, oh crap, game over. You know,
it's really been a while, which is a huge disappointment to me, because I also feel like there's this big issue with challenge, where the games are not really all that challenging anymore. But
yeah, I agree. They're not as challenging. Like fucking Super Ghouls and Ghosts, one of the hardest games ever made.
Yep.
And God, you play Bionic Commando, and it's like you've got like what, couple lives and 2 continues, or it's over. It's just shit like that. But I think today that there's a lot more replayability to games than there was before. So you play through Aaron Lindy plays through Final Fantasy 3 like once a year just because he loves the game that much, and like Earthbound, and you play it over and over again. The game doesn't change, but he just likes it, but you could play like BioShock over and over again and go through it like a bunch of different ways. So you lose some, you gain some, but that's how I see it.
I think
I
would even go as far as saying that I think the Super Nintendo games were the perfect length. Like, they weren't like ridiculously short like the Nintendo games, and they weren't like way too long like some of the games that come out today are. I felt like they were just like perfect. Like you had a good combination of like an ActRaiser, which you could beat in like 4 or 5 hours, but then you had like Final Fantasy games, which would take you 30 hours or whatever. So it was like, I think there was a good mixture of those kind of games on the Super Nintendo, and I feel like they don't really have that as much. They had like the perfect balance.
Because they were awesome.
Well, sometimes I think that the constraints that people had at in the time period when they were designing SNES games, sometimes I think that they helped more than now today, where we have such a huge expanse that you can more or less do anything you want. It's like you can make a 100-hour game if you want, but for some reason people don't seem to be able to do that and make meaningful content. Whereas if you play Chrono Trigger, it's pretty much, I don't remember, you guys. I mean, because I was a kid, but was Chrono Trigger was it 40 hours? Do you think?
Oh, at least.
At least.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't remember doing a whole bunch of stupid mini games.
No. That was the great thing about it. There was optional stuff, and it kind of tricked you into thinking that you had like a little bit of choice here and there. As they did in Final Fantasy 3 when they gave you like the 3 paths to split up your group, but you all end up at the same place and you all have to do any path anyway, but it's like, I feel that I'm given this choice. But no, it was like it's 40 hours of game, like straight story. Like
Yeah,
it's
and
great.
it's like working for that, like working for the ending of that story is so worth it. To me, like I remember getting to the end and just feeling like there was this epic adventure that we went on, and I was a part of it, and that was so interesting, And it's like now I feel like it's like for RPG to be quote unquote good, it has to be a certain number of hours, and so developers are like, okay, and they put all this crap in there that no one really wants. Like all we really want is just to play a game that's good and a good story.
Yeah, and it's crap. It's bullshit. I mean, I'd rather play a really great 20-hour RPG than I would a mediocre 70-hour RPG.
Oh, me too. Like by far, I actually prefer my RPGs a little shorter.
I will steer clear of a game when it's advertised as being X number of hours long. Like
that started in that
50
era.
plus hours of gameplay. Yeah, it should have stopped there too.
I know, that's because that's when RPGs they used to be like, this just got so many meg cartridge, and then that was cool for a while, and then they're like, well, this one's got 20 hours guaranteed, and then 30, and then 40 and 50, and now they're like, we've got 100 hours of gameplay, and you're just
I remember you saying
but
that
it
earlier.
Sucks. Like I'd rather play 10
I don't want to
hours
do
of good.
fucking item synthesis and all this bullshit. It's crap.
Yeah.
Enemy drops a screw and a bolt, and you have to scour the fucking earth to find all this shit to put together so you can make a sword. And
Yeah.
15, 20 hours doing that, and it's like, why? It's not fun. It's not
Yeah.
fun.
And you're like, and this is gonna save the planet. How again?
See, I've never been a big fan of gameplay hours anyway when people advertise that. But, like, once that started, like, I have this whole rant on that, and, like, I think it's just really frustrating because as a player, because I like to be surprised and I like to experience a story, like, not what's coming next. And I remember, like, a perfect example of that is when I was playing Okami. Like, that game's amazing, but all the reviews that I'd read had in giant letters at the very beginning of the review, oh, this game will take you, like, whatever it was, like 45 to 50 hours or whatever to beat, and that's, like, without doing all the side quests. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a huge game. But as I'm playing the game, I get to a part where I genuinely thought it was, like, the final boss, and I think I was only, like, 22 or 23
Yeah,
hours
that happened to
away.
me. I know exactly. Orochi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
you're
and
like,
I-
is this game over?
Yeah, and then I was
Yeah.
like...
Yeah, and like you haven't even started yet.
Yeah, but then I knew I was like, no, it can't be over because everyone's advertising it to be like double the length, and lo and behold, I beat the guy, and there's like a whole other section opened up, and it just bummed me out because I'm like, I just would have loved to have discovered that on my own, like without having any idea, and I think
Aw.
once, but then,
Yeah.
once that stuff happens, it just bums me out. Like I hate people telling me, and especially in reviews, like reviews are supposed to be spoiler free, and to read something saying, oh, it's going to be 50 hours, and then 10 hours into the game, there's like a huge thing that you think is going to be the ending. I don't want to, know that there's all this stuff left. I don't know. That's just me, I guess. But
No, I agree. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah, I don't like knowing how long the game's gonna be, because then
Yeah,
you're like,
I don't like that.
especially in Okami, which I'm like, if I could ever like love a game, it would be that one. And I was like, right around like 55 hours, I was like, oh, it's gonna end soon. Like,
Yeah,
for
that too.
real.
Yeah, that's
You know,
also-
it's like,
Yeah, it
that
kind of
sucks.
spoils it, but at the same time, I appreciate when they say that it's going to, because sometimes you don't have all that much time to get. God knows we don't here at Destructoid. We don't
Yeah,
have that
that's
kind of
true.
time
I
to
guess
play
for the
games
epic
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
no, definitely don't have.
I don't know. Like if I see more than 50 hours, like I probably will not ever go near it. And
See,
a
that
lot of
doesn't
that has
bother
to
me.
do with like it's not that it's if it's 50 hours of game, sure, but it's probably going to be 50 hours of busy work, and I just don't want that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's called
and
like
it's
school
crap.
job.
You're totally right.
Or like,
Well-
honestly, like I think, and this is just slightly off the topic of SNES, but I believe that, you can have a long game because with side quests and still have it interesting. Because, I mean, Final Fantasy VII, I hate to bring it up because it's so often talked about, but, I mean, you could or couldn't do the side quest, but you still had a solid game I think it clocked like, I want to say it clocked maybe 40 hours straight if you barreled through it. But I
Yeah.
know you
Yeah.
could get 60 hours out of it if you didn't. And I mean, I never felt like any of those quests were just stupid. Well, actually,
I thought a lot
maybe
of them
the
were,
maybe the
actually.
weapon, maybe
Yeah.
the whole weapon fight. But beyond the point, though, there was
Chocobo
still a
breeding.
solid story that you didn't have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still possible. I just think people don't really do it.
All right, Colette, I gotta ask you, if you had to choose between Final Fantasy VII, which I know you love, Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy III, or Chrono Trigger, which one would it be?
Wow, that's a tough one.
I'm making it hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was so cute.
Yeah. In all honesty, God, I think it would have to be Chrono Trigger. I really do.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. All of them are good choices, but I'm happy you chose one of the Super Nintendo ones. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean,
trick question.
Seven is really, really important to me. Like, it's a great game. It was really resonant for me, but I don't know. Chrono Trigger is like literally perfection in a game of that era to me.
Yeah. It's amazing what Square did on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is.
I still play, just like you mentioned Aaron Lindy, I still play Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 2 and Chrono Trigger. I try to do them at least once a year.
Me too.
And I agree, like they really are so full and so deep, and like they push the system to the limit. I mean, all the stuff that they do in those games is unbelievable, especially Chrono Trigger. I mean, Chrono Trigger is like epic, like with the time travel, and it's just it's amazing.
Yeah,
That one had a
like you
lot
were-
of replayability too, because of the multiple endings and
I think there's
and
like
it was different
70
characters.
endings or something.
Yeah. So I mean, so like replayability is, it's there, and this, but that was just to answer that question, but it's more of like for replayability for like a different reason,
See, but that's a big issue, though, like replayability. I mean, they advertise these, 70, 80-hour games, and it's like you're going to play that game for 70, 80 hours, and you're probably never going to touch it again.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
100%.
Earthworm Jim 2 is, what, like, a couple hours long,
Yep.
and you'll play that over and over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally
I
true.
agree.
I
Totally.
play Contra.
So, like, what's the
4
better
times a
value?
year.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point that you make. So for like, what would you rather play? Like a 10-hour game over and over again, or one 80-hour game once? But so I hope that helps listeners out. I don't know. Tell me what you think, people. But here's another question. Reprar, what's your favorite third-party SNES game? I pretty much loved everything by Capcom and still do this
That's
day.
a good question.
The Mega Man X
Yeah.
games spent up a lot of my childhood.
Yeah, Capcom was great. They made great games.
Dude, they
Mega
still
Man
do.
X
Yep.
was
I
the
mean-
shit.
Even though we just talked about it, it might have to go to Square, though. I mean, I don't think anyone could beat Square when it comes to
No, Square's
third-party
definitely.
SNES. I mean, they're
yeah,
the great.
Square's mine for sure.
I play Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers, like, to this day.
Yeah.
All the time. So, I mean, I kind of have a soft spot for that. And believe it or not, I not modified my not Xbox, and my roommate, not downloaded Mega Man X and was just not playing it, like, a minute ago. It was
That was the most
hilarious.
confusing sentence I've ever heard.
Yeah, but-
Awesome.
I know,
You
and
know
I was
what?
like...
And I would really like to not play not SNES games on my not DS.
I
But
agree.
the not emulator that's out for not DS is a piece of shit.
Yeah. It-
Sneemel DS is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if I'm not sorry. I hope I'm offending whoever developed that piece of crap. Fix it. It doesn't work. Fix it.
So
There's
I
a
could not
compatibility
play my
list. It's
favorite
got like
not
10 games on it. I'd like to not play my not favorite not ROMs on my
Yeah.
not DS. And fix your shit.
But which third party one would you play if you could not play?
I'm gonna go with Capcom.
Yeah.
Just for like Mega Man and all the Street Fighters and
They did Aladdin and Lion King too. I don't know if you played those games, but they were awesome.
Yeah,
Those are great
totally.
games.
You know what? That's one of the other guys asked a question, and it actually involved that. It was Bronx Bomber. He goes, "What's the deal with multi-platform games in the 16-bit era? Like people above have mentioned that Zombies Ate My Neighbors, for example, was better on the SNES, and Disney's Aladdin on the SNES and Genesis were pretty much two different games altogether."
Completely different.
Yeah. I can answer the Aladdin one. I tried to find out the answer to Zombies, but I don't know why one's better than the other because they were made by the same people. But Disney's Aladdin on the Super Nintendo was made and developed by Capcom. On the Genesis, it was made by Virgin Interactive and developed by the guys that kind of ended up being in like Shiny, Dave Perry, Earthworm Jim.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Wow.
yeah. It would make sense. It's the same kind of graphics.
Yeah.
Did they come out around the same time?
No, that was before they became Shiny or whatever it was. Yeah. So then they went on to form it. So and they had the thing. So but back in those days, yeah, like video games in these days, in all days, like licenses can be released by different people on different systems. Like Batman was made by like I think Data East on the NES, and on the Genesis it was made by Sunsoft or something like that. I mean, so it's totally different. I'm probably wrong, but.
Some props need to go out to Konami too, because Konami did Contra 3, which is like the greatest Contra ever, and then they did Legend of Mystical Ninja, which is amazing.
I love that game.
Yeah, that gets like one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
Mine too.
Yeah, and they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 too, which is awesome. And Zombies Ate My Neighbors, I think, is Konami too.
Yeah, it is Konami.
Yeah, so Konami actually is up there too as one of my favorites.
Actually.
Actually.
Actually,
Actually,
Actually.
Turtles in Time was mentioned heavily in the comments. And,
it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a great
you guys,
game.
You're right. That game is fucking awesome. I
Yeah.
love that game.
Well, what about? Was there any games you guys remember that were like specifically made for the Super Nintendo? I guess what I mean is, you probably wouldn't see them on any other system, either because some of the effects or either because of the way the game was designed. Like, is there any games you remember? Like, I mean, like Super
Like
Metroid.
F-Zero?
Yeah, like F-Zero or like
Mario
there's, like-
Kart?
Yeah, or some of the really random games. You guys remember a game called On the Ball?
No.
It was
On the ball.
awesome. It was this game.
I don't remember that at all.
You were a marble. The entire game was played with the right and left buttons. That's it. No other buttons to play the game.
Okay.
And what you did
nice.
is there was a marble on the screen, and you rotated the entire board, every piece of the board, obstacles, everything was rotated completely around the ball with the left and the right button. So it was like the cool like Mode 7. But then the marble would just fall straight down like gravity. So then you had to just move the world around it. And the game had amazing physics. Like the ball would bounce around, and if it hit like wood, it wouldn't bounce as high, and if it hit metal, it would bounce higher. And it was pretty incredible, and the graphics were pretty great at the time, and it got you kind of dizzy.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a pre-Loco Roco.
Yeah, it's actually just kind of like that. Yeah, but it was amazing, and I bought that when it came out, and it's one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo, and that's a good example of a game that was on could any other system because it had the Mode 7 and it had the design just for the Super Nintendo.
Did you guys ever
Nice.
get nauseous from any Mode 7 effects?
Yes, well that game in
I didn't.
No, I got
No.
almost got sick during Super Girls and Ghosts.
Wow.
Yeah, like that. I think I've talked about it before. The level where you're on a platform that rotates and through a cave that rotates the opposite way, and it just
Yeah,
like,
it does it in Super Castlevania 4
Ew.
too. doesn't it?
No,
It's
I
worse
got
than
hypnotized
Spectral.
by Mode 7. I
Hypnotized.
remember playing F-Zero, and I would start, and then I'd wake up like an hour and a half later, like not remembering where I was. or
You
what
had
the hell
video
was
game
going on.
highway
Wow.
hypnosis.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you guys remember? You know, Mode 7 in most of those games, like Mario Kart and F-Zero, it was all flat. There was never any 3D effects, just because they couldn't do them. Do you remember the first time they tried to do that for Mode 7? I think it was one of the Star Wars games, which I loved. The Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But one of those,
Like
I don't
Star
know which one-
Fox?
No, that was a Super FX chip. That was a little different because that was like 3D, but like it was Mode 7, but it was like they would take flat objects and they would put them on top of the Mode 7 and then make them kind of got bigger. And it looked horrible, but
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, they did, like it would be
That
like
was so bad.
yeah, it would be the cool Mode 7, like it would look amazing. It's so fluid and so smooth, and all of a sudden,
Yeah,
this,
and
like,
then you'd have these
this
like
rock,
cardboard
come up,
cutouts.
and it was like so pixelated and so choppy, and it looked like it was
Yeah.
like completely flat. And I was like, why did they waste like? I mean, I know what they're trying to do, but it just, I don't know. I feel like they just were better off just Mario Karting it and just.
Yeah, that was all those racing
Yeah.
games. All those racing games where you had like the same bush that would come by 15 times around once.
It looks so bad.
Did you
Well,
guys?
you know what was my favorite part of the Super Nintendo? Was the controller.
Oh yes.
It's one of my favorite controllers
It's
ever
the best
made.
one ever. I'll never.
That
ever,
is,
like
that
one
is, and I said this in the post, like, that's the only controller that I have nothing to say bad
No.
about. Like, as much as it's not my favorite controller, but it is the best controller, I think, ever. For the console that it came with. Like, I
appreciate-
have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, I just appreciate the simplicity of it and that it's functional and simple and comfortable and, like, I mean, I understand that in games now we certainly need more buttons than we used to need, but, sometimes it's just a comfort for me to just play with a couple of buttons with a really simple
Have you
controller.
guys seen that in Japan that you can get the Famicom or the Super Nintendo controller for
Yeah.
the Wii?
The Wii, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
want that. I want
know,
that
me too.
so
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, I'll have
Yeah, it
one.
might actually make me want to play Wii.
I'll have one when it comes out.
Well, hey, when you guys, let me ask you this: when did you get your Super Nintendo? Like, what was it? Like, was it a Christmas present, a birthday present? Did you have to like mow lawns or sell crack?
We
or-
got one.
What?
My brother and I got it for Christmas right after launch.
Yeah, me too. I got it for Christmas too.
What sucks is that I don't remember. I remember playing it, but I don't remember opening it.
No.
Well, I kind of have the early onset Alzheimer's thing going on.
That's true.
That is true,
yeah.
actually.
So, like, I don't really... But I do remember when my grandmother shipped it to my cousin without telling me.
Oh no.
And she did. Yes, she did. Because I had gotten, like... I guess I had gotten... What was the next thing? Was the PlayStation the next thing?
An N64.
N64.
Well, yeah, N64,
Well,
so I
PlayStation
guess-
came right before N64.
Yeah, but no, I didn't get a PlayStation right away, so I had an N64. That I remember. But, yeah, so, like, one day I was like, oh, have you seen it? Because I guess I disconnected it, She's like, oh, I sent it to your cousin, who was, like, 7 or 8 years younger than me. And I was like, what? You did what? I love my grandmother, but I'm not sure that I've actually forgiven her for that.
We'll find out when she's like old and infirmed.
Right?
She's like in the retirement home. She's like, "Come visit me," and you like smother her with a pillow.
I'm like, you fucking bitch! You gave away my fucking SNES! Die! Just die!
Well, I got mine for Christmas, and I remember I was like, all I could focus on was playing Super Mario World. Like,
Yeah.
it only
Best
had 2
Mario
games.
ever.
Oh, yeah, like we had that one conversation, and take whatever side of the fence you want, Mario 3 or Super Mario World. I can't really truly decide, but I'm gonna have to go. Like, I just love Mario World so much. Like, that game is so fucking good, and
It's
it
a
was
great
like,
game.
yeah, and the Super Nintendo came with that packed in. They're like, hey, here's a Mario game. And you're like, yes, and that's like, yes, everybody wants this. Everyone's happy.
And it came with 2 controllers.
Yes.
Motherfucker.
Yep. That's when
Yeah,
they used to
that-
come with
2 controllers.
Yep.
Good days.
Back in
We
the
got a
days.
Super Nintendo for Christmas, and my brother and I played together. 2 controllers.
Yeah, I miss that.
I know, they should have put in 2 emotes. I was pissed when they didn't, but a lot of the games though, like the Super Nintendo games, like what are your favorites? Like, let's not, I know RPGs, blah blah blah. We talked about that forever, but like, do you have any particular like must-have, like, in like in the sense that like you'll always play it, like without a doubt? Because that's me. Like, I love a bunch of different games. In fact, I've got like a shitload, but fucking like the Street Fighter, like seriously, like a large part of my life is this like revolves around the Super Nintendo Street Fighter. Unbelievable.
Earthworm Jim 2.
Yeah. I would say the ones I play still to this day nonstop are Super Metroid, of course. I'll
Yes,
never
for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Best
Star
game ever made.
Fox. I love Star Fox, the first Star
Yeah,
Fox.
totally.
And wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Sorry.
I love Star Fox.
That hurts
Man.
my heart.
That game's so boring. It's
Wait,
like,
No,
What?
it's not. What are
It
you
looks-
talking about?
Ooh, fight.
Oh,
That
this has
game's
to be a whole other
awesome.
show.
I'm not gonna fight. I'm like they had this Super Effects chip, right? And they're like,
Whatever.
"Hey,
I'm going
fun."
over to Chad's side of the room and sit with him.
Yes.
Fine.
Awesome.
Thank you, Topher. Thank you.
You're just like a bunch of triangles shooting at other triangles. So it's like,
Yeah, and it's
kinda-
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I could never get into it.
game's-
Sorry.
Oh, great.
That game kicks ass.
I don't know. I'll take my sprites.
But one of the games that I think a lot of people forget about, but I actually probably play this more now than any game on the Super Nintendo is Uniracers.
Oh,
Never
are you
played that.
serious?
Oh, man.
That game is so freaking great.
Dude, that's fucking Crack Hippo said that. He goes, for me it was Uniracers. Wasn't the best
I'll be
game on the
damned.
system, but I couldn't stop playing it.
No, it's the most
Stop playing
addictive
it.
thing. Like, if it's like, real quick for the people who haven't played it, it's like you race unicycles, which sounds so weird.
Oh shit! Okay, now I remember that.
And
Okay,
there's
I didn't
no
know
one
it
on.
was.
Yeah, there's no one on them. They're just unicycles that go by themselves. But it's cool because it's one of the it's only racing games. I don't know if it might be the only racing game I've ever played that is. It's a side-scrolling racing game. It doesn't even have. It's not like a 3D racing game. And you go through these ridiculous tracks with like loops and like twists and obstacles, and you can do stunts, and the stunts make you go faster. And the racing stuff is great and it's amazing. It's probably one of the best parts. But the most addictive part of the whole Uniracers is this: you can do like a stunt track where all you do is like you're kind of in a big half pipe, and all you do is just jump back and forth and do stunts with your unicycle. And it's the most addictive thing because you have to rake up points and you have to do things in a certain amount of time. But I literally can play that even nowadays for hours and not get bored. It's amazing. I'm begging Nintendo to put that on the Virtual Console because I want that game more than anything on the Virtual Console.
Yeah, with Nero as a character on his unicycle.
Yeah, the
That
Nero
would be-
cycle.
Incredible.
Wow.
But
Nero on his.
we can't go on the show without mentioning Super Mario RPG either because that game was
Hell
God,
yeah.
that is one of my favorite games.
That
and
is-
something I frequently replay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, one of Hamza's. Like, I think that's Hamza CTC Aziz. That's the only RPG he likes.
yeah.
Like,
It's awesome.
ever. I've never beaten it. I have it. I own it. Like, physically own it, not own it. Like, and I keep playing, and I get halfway through, and I kind of just like have a tendency to set things down for a while, and then I forget, and then I come back, and I've never finished the game, and I feel like
It's so good.
I know, and then I'm like, oh man, that game's great. And I'll play it. I'll start. And I'm like, yeah, and, I'm like in the pond talking to the frogs and like musical notes and shit. Blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
so great.
Oh, God,
so great.
Yes.
And I'm just like, this is great. I swear to God, I'm gonna finish it this time. And then no, like,
Well, I mean, think about it. It's like a marriage between Nintendo and Square. I mean, like that's like the two greatest game makers ever, like combining to make an RPG. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. I just wish they would do another one like that. That's like my dream.
that would
like
be
a king,
fire,
like
Dolphin.
yeah, like a Kingdom Hearts. Like, imagine them doing like a Kingdom Hearts, but with like Mario characters. Like, that would be
Yeah.
incredible.
That would be pretty awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
Chad, I think it was on your list, but I don't know if anybody else. Did anybody bring up ActRaiser?
Yeah, I didn't bring it up
Yeah.
yet, but it was on my list, definitely.
I play that
Totally.
game like pretty regularly, like still.
Me
Like I'll
too.
just be like, oh, it'd be nice to play some ActRaiser today.
That
Oh,
game
yeah.
is amazing. I love
I
it.
love that game.
The city building sequences in ActRaiser are some of the most addictive stuff ever.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. It's got that same weird combination thing. Like it's not even remotely similar, but like that feeling of that Puzzle Quest has, where it's like combining two like odd genres.
No, it is. I
Like,
agree with that, actually.
That
Yeah.
side-scrolling, it's like for some reason it gets me in the exact same way.
That game is awesome. The sequel sucked, but
Yeah, it did suck.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't like... It was beautiful, and the music was great, but... Yeah,
yeah,
not
it wasn't the
beautiful.
same. The first one was amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're a god, or you're about to be, and you have to shoot the little demons that are attacking the fucking the towns, and then
Yep, with your
you-
little Cupid guy.
yeah, with your little Cupid, and you have to tell the people build a bridge here, and they're like,
Yep.
yay, and they do, and oh no, we're on fire, and it's fucking hilarious. It's
That
like
game-
crack.
It was kind of an adult theme too. I mean, a lot of people
I thought
died
so.
in the city, and they would have to sacrifice people in their city to the gods sometimes. And, it was really kind of hardcore.
I know. There's plenty of adult themes even back in the days of the SNES.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Speaking of that, actually, do you remember those that genre of games? Do you remember the game Flashback and the game Do you remember those games?
wait, the game Flashback and the what?
Blackthorn. They were the same kind of game. They were
Flashback, I
side-
remember.
Yeah, the original one was Out of This World that came out for the PC. And it also came out for Super Nintendo, and it was this cool minimalistic side-scrolling game where you travel through this alien world, And Flashback was similar. It was the same kind of style. It was like that. Remember those games that came out for the Super Nintendo that were side-scrolling games, but they had the most amazing animation for the characters?
Yeah, they were like Prince
Yeah.
of Persia, old school
Yeah,
style.
exactly, just like Prince of Persia. Blackthorn and Flashback were just like that, and I just remember those games and loving those.
I remember Flashback. I played it, but I played Blackthorn.
Blackthorn was you're this kind of hardcore rugged guy in a weird fantasy world with trolls and stuff but you
Like
had a gun,
Topher?
I think. Yeah. Wait. I think
What?
It was Topher.
It was.
Topher was the star of Blackthorn.
Fantasy world with what the?
Isn't that what
What are you
Baltimore's
talking about?
like? No?
Yeah,
All right.
maybe a little.
Okay. It doesn't exist for me. I'm on the West Coast.
I feel like a show dedicated to Super Nintendo was almost too much. I feel like we have 14 hours left of stuff we could talk about.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the
someone else
problem.
said that. Someone was like, "You're
That's
gonna fit all this
Dexter.
in one show."
Dexter
Yeah,
was like, how are you going to
He's
do
right.
that? I'm like, I don't know. Wait.
Right.
It was the
Well, maybe
best
we'll have
system
Yeah,
another-
how about some love for Mario Paint?
Oh,
God.
Mario Paint.
Never
I still
played
play
it.
Mario Paint.
No, wait, played it once.
You never played it.
I played it once.
What?
I played the fly swatting game.
You never spent hours and a day and just making things in Mario Paint? You're not a human.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to tell you that for days. No,
Oh my.
You're crazy.
I'm the machine sent back from.
They had that. Remember that Topher? You probably, of course, Mario Paint is your dream because it's all about art and stuff. But you remember the animation that it had in that? You could do that thing you could do 15
Yeah, totally.
frames of animation.
Yeah.
It was really kind of cool. You could copy it and then just change it a little bit, and you could make some pretty cool little animations. It was awesome.
Dude,
first
I
Homestar
spent
run was
hour
on
after hour with Mario Paint, just doing all kinds of nonsense,
Oh,
making
yeah, that's-
music and just everything.
Oh, and the music program that was
yeah,
awesome.
dude. It's
All the
an
different
awesome
sound
game.
effects. Oh yeah, I agree with you. I still play it once in a while. I'll randomly pull it out just to try it out and be like, "This game was awesome."
Yeah, I wish I could play it on my DS.
That's the perfect DS game.
Yeah,
That'd be
pretty
fun.
much.
Well, hey, I guess we wouldn't be. We'd probably be just failing if we didn't mention Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
needs to be mentioned. And
'Cause-
did anybody mention Super Punch Out?
No.
I mentioned it in the list, but no, we haven't talked about it. Super Punch Out's
Yeah.
great.
Also great. I mean, there's so many great games on this system. Dexter's right. It's mind blowing.
Best system ever. No.
We could dedicate a whole, just another podcast to
Dang.
Super Nintendo.
Maybe we'll do
Yeah.
a follow-up one. How about
I don't
that?
mean I don't
We
mean
have to
another
have-
episode. We could have RetroforceGO, and then we could have SNES Force Go, just a whole other weekly podcast about Super Nintendo.
We
games.
should have a Super Nintendo Super Nintendo games A through C one week.
Oh God.
Super Nintendo games D through F because there really are that many good games.
I know. Fucking A. I had so many games, but no, I want to mention Donkey Kong Country because you were saying something.
Yeah, that game was amazing when it came out. You remember how awesome the graphics were?
Yeah, they were fucking
It was
insane.
like jaw-dropping when it came out.
Yeah, and you know it's weird because like I remember like it got like high scores back in the day, and I think like EGM said like recently they're like, oh, if we were to review this again today, we would have given it a much lower score, which I don't understand. There's a lot of things they do I don't understand, but, but I was like, no, I seem to recall that being a pretty awesome game.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great platform. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I like about it the best, though, and this is kind of weird, because you were talking about, Chad, earlier, you're like, I like when the next generation comes out, because you can see that jump from one level of, like, graphics and whatever to the next. And it's my favorite time in a system's life is the end, which is it's kind of sad because it's like towards the end of the system, but the games that come out for it, any
They're
system,
great.
are awesome. Like look at
they push the limit. Like Okami is a perfect example.
Okami, God of War 2.
But PlayStation 2 at the end of its life, oh my god. I mean, that is still one of my favorite consoles, but yeah, it's the best time.
And
that really goes for any console. Just like the last handful of games that come out for any console are just incredible.
But more so the Donkey Kong. Those things were like that added a whole nother year to the life of the Super Nintendo.
Oh, totally.
Well, that was the specific game that made it beat the Genesis, was Donkey Kong Country. When that came, at that up until Donkey Kong Country, Genesis was still winning by a slight margin. Because of Sonic and all that, but Donkey Kong Country officially pushed the sales over the edge, and then after Donkey Kong Country came out, Super Nintendo just got a wider and wider gap from Genesis. So that kind of was like really important for Nintendo, that game, for a lot of different reasons.
It's the last good game Rare made. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
that's totally not
you can't
true.
say that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being a dick. Rare makes good games.
can we talk hardware?
Sure, you like the hardware.
Yeah,
Tell me about
that's my favorite thing.
Go for it.
It was ugly.
It wasn't it? I swear to God, they must have
Super
thought
Famicom
Americans,
was
like,
so nice. Like, it's such a pretty console. And even like the PAL release, the European Super Nintendo looks much nicer than our ugly. Like, what's with the purple and the square? Like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, huh? Well, it's funny. It's because they changed it because they wanted it to look cool for the American, people, us, whatever.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
But it's kind of like their definition of cool was like looking at like a 1952 like Buick, and was like, oh, that's what Americans think are cool, and they like this square, fucking awkwardly shaped.
I don't know what they were
thing.
thinking there.
I don't know. At least they didn't change the controller. I would rather have the ones with the pretty colors on it.
Yeah.
But at least
Yeah, that's what I use my Super Famicom controllers anyway in my Super
You're
Nintendo.
fancy.
But it was ugly.
It was
I'm
ugly.
sorry.
No.
And Super Famicom is so pretty though. Like, this is just such a nice.
Yeah, it was a
console.
weird color,
Yeah.
like a light gray and like a lavender. Like that's a weird color
Yeah,
combination.
it was all like smooth and.
Did you guys have one of the
rounded.
original ones that kind of turned beige after a while?
Really?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what
Yeah.
something wrong with the plastic. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
it would
they all
just,
do
Yeah,
that.
the plastic was bad. It would yellow really.
Yeah,
really
that's
quick.
it. It would yellow really bad, and it was just weird. The later ones didn't do it, but it was like, oh wow, that looks. It looks like you left it in your like mom's room, and your mom smoked for 40 years.
Yeah, it's like nicotine stain.
Yeah, totally.
I actually have one of each. I have one now yellow one and one gray one that didn't. I have one of each.
You know what I hate what people used to do? Like when people would come over that weren't like big gamers like me, like you know how they had that eject like weird button in the middle? It wasn't even like a button. It was like you just like hit the tab and like the game like popped out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big seesaw
Yeah,
in the middle of the
but
console.
I hate it. I take care of my system so well, like even nowadays, and I hated when people just jam the game out without pushing that eject button. I would get so angry.
Oh, I would punch somebody in the face if
I would
they
be
did
like,
that.
push the button.
Oh, Chad will
That
never
just
forget.
makes me so mad.
And it had the weird. It's got the weird like slidey buttons like the power
Yeah,
and
like
reset.
it really was a weird system.
Yeah,
weird,
and of
like-
course you could accidentally reset it by bumping into it, which would
You hear my power button?
Yeah.
That's my
Is that
Super
the
Nintendo.
NES Zapper?
This is power.
No, it
button.
kind of sounds like it though, doesn't it?
Here's my eject button.
Almost.
Oh, that's your eject button?
Here's my reset button. Here's my
I
eject
don't
button.
have mine on me right now. It's in the other
There's
room.
my little.
The fans
We
are
should
loving
start-
us right now.
We should start communicating like with just clicks from the Super Nintendo console. That'll be our new podcast speak.
I love this system. So many memories. I once figured out this trick in this game called the Seven Saga. There was I had a ASCII pad, if that's how you say it right, and they had the Super Nintendo pad, and it had the little colored buttons, and it had turbo settings like auto and stuff like that, which was great, especially in Street Fighter because you could put like a low kick on turbo and just.
I hated people that use turbo.
Ha ha, that's me, bitch. But you get basically it's like if you left it on like repeat A and then like a certain part of the game, it would continue to fight for you. And this was an RPG, so I just like turned the television off and walked away for like 5 hours and came back. It was like 40 levels up. And I was like, hey! Thank God for turbo.
That's awesome.
But no, I got a question here. This is actually interesting because Drewbies, long time, haven't heard from you.
Yay, Drewbies.
Drewbies is the best.
He's like, as Dyson and Topher may know, and we do, he loves his NES and his sizable collection of NES games. It's now time to begin building my collection of SNES games, aside from local thrift shops, Goodwill, and used game retailers that are brick and mortar. Do you all have any suggestions for an online source of SNES games that are reasonably priced? No.
PinkGodzillaGames.com.
Yes. Well, he's the one who showed us Pink Godzilla, actually.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I have like a hankering for a specific game, I still just go to eBay.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys this, and all listeners, if you want, email Hamza Aziz at Destructo.com. He works in a used video game store, and he'll take care of you.
That's true, yeah, and he can get you just about anything
Because
you're
those
looking for.
fuckers on eBay will charge you out the ass for anything Super Nintendo. Fuck them. I hate eBay. Sorry. They're bastards. I know. It's like you try and get an old card. Like, how many old cards do you guys still have? Like a shitload, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, same here. But like all the ones you don't have that you want, like you know the motherfuckers are just selling it to make money.
I know.
You know, it's like no appreciation of the game. They're like, oh, it's a Secret of Mana, $100, buy it now. You're like, God, damn it.
Do you still have all your for all the old games that you actually do have? Do you still have all the old like little clear plastic bottoms that you put on them? You remember them?
No, I don't have as many as
I've only
I
got
have
a couple of
games.
those.
I think I
I've
got
like
about
2 or
10.
3 of those.
Hamza gave me a bunch too. He's like, "Oh, you could just have all those." I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, I always would get so mad when I lost one because those things were great, man. I always felt like the game was gonna get ruined if I didn't have that thing on there.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I hated about it? People would like write their name on the game with like marker.
Yeah,
But
ever.
a Sharpie, I hate that.
Like you look through like used cartridges and SNES games, and it would say like Andrew on the it was like
Vegas steaks.
Vegas steaks.
Awesome. Oh, well, I got everything out that I wanted to get. I love Super Nintendo. Man.
Super Scope, mouse, keyboard,
Yes. Yeah. There's so many. Oh God, we could go.
Super
We need to
Game Boy.
stop.
Yeah.
Player. You remember Super Game Boy
I
thing,
feel
and you would
like-
like plug in.
Yeah, the
and-
Super. Oh, see, I could do a whole podcast. I'm not even kidding, just about the Super Game Boy. That's how much I loved it.
I have one too. I think that I searched forever for one and finally found one.
The
on
Super
not
Game
eBay.
Boy, out of all the ones they've had, like, because they also had one for the GameCube
Uh-huh.
and that one wasn't nearly as good. Like, I'm telling you, the Super Game Boy was like perfect.
Oh no, dude! The one on the GameCube one's really good. The
No,
Super
I agree,
Game Boy
it's
only
good.
will display it in like 8 colors if it comes in
I-
black and
Yeah,
white.
and you have to pick
I
the
know.
colors. It was like gray number 2 is pink,
Yeah.
and gray number 3 is okay. I'm gonna make that green. Like you had to pick what each color.
Yeah, it was weird.
gonna-
Yeah, she's like a color.
was gonna be
scheme.
represented.
It was very strange. I know, but I felt like it just seemed to work better for me. Like, I don't know why. The one on the GameCube always looked really blurry for some reason whenever I used it. But maybe that's just me.
Because the Super Nintendo's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know what?
Yeah.
Genesis was awesome too, but I love the Super Nintendo best. Thank God for the Genesis, though. At least just to say that without it, I think Nintendo wouldn't have had any competition, and therefore, the games that did come out that we all really, really like and really remember very well may have not come out or may have not come out at the level of quality that they did. So, competition's a good thing, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got anything else to add?
I do.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do another Super Nintendo show. How
Yeah,
about
I think
that?
we need to.
Yeah, we'll
Got-
get back to that.
I was going to say that we'll see how people like it and what they have to say.
There you go.
I know what they'll have to say. They'll say, "Oh my God, how did you not mention this? I'll
but
kill
that's-
you."
But see, that was the power of the list, because technically we mentioned everything.
See?
So if someone says to me, Chad, or you guys, how could you not have mentioned Final Fight? I'm like, actually, I did.
It's a little disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
Please listen to the
Exactly.
words hastily spoken by Chad Concelmo. Copyright 2007. All right. Cool. Let's get out of here. Let's do it again. We'll see what the crowd say. Guys, thanks for joining us today. And I'm going to take off. So, ladies and gentlemen, bye.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Fighting on the lip of a volcano. What? We didn't talk about what?
Pilot wings.
Oh.
Yeah, we also didn't talk about Bubsy.
Bubsy?
Yeah, we didn't talk about. That's true.